Today on the PIO podcast, I am pleased to introduce Chief of Police Kevin Warych from the Prairie Police Department in Prairie, Wisconsin. Chief, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I look forward to the conversation.
Chief, thank you very much. You recently took the role in Prairie and you came down from Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken. What drew you to this position and what have your first few months been like?
Well, what really drew me to this position is the community, and the community is very open, very inclusive, very welcoming, at, and very community orientated. You know, when you look at your career, everybody's got a niche, and mine just happens to be community policing and developing those relationships. And when I looked at what my career goals were, the mission here is just about building relationships and solving problems. Something so simple, something so easy to remember. That kind of really drew me to this area, and more importantly, my family. My family wanted to move this area. There's more opportunity for my kids' sports, moving closer to family. Just really all fell into place, and so grateful.
Timing's everything, isn't it?
It really is. All those jobs that I got told, there was a reason. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I believe that I was placed here for whatever reason. Someday I'll probably never know, but I'm very grateful to be here.
Excellent. So, what experiences from your previous roles in your other agencies have most influenced your leadership approach now as a chief?
Coming from a bigger agency, you get a lot of repetition on a lot of personnel problems, labor issues, community problems, police investigations, major incidents, emergency planning. And the repetition is a lot greater because the city is just bigger. Everything is to scale. And I believe my past experience, which I'm very grateful for, and you never forget where you come from, really has prepared me to take on this position here as chief in the Sun Prairie. Just by the mere fact of just I've kind of seen a lot, I've done a lot. Now I get to do a lot here and meet great people and work together just like I did in my past career and in Green Bay.
Outstanding. Chief, for those of the listeners and our followers that do not know where Sun Prairie is located at, can you tell us where it's located?
Sure, that Sun Prairie is in the middle of the state. It's in Dane County. We partner, or we're right next to the city of Madison on the east side, and it's about 120-ish miles away from the city of Green Bay in the middle of the state.
And what's the population of the town and the staffing of the PD sworn versus civilian?
Well, currently the city of Sun Prairie is about 40,000 residents. Dane County is one of the fastest counties growing with growth in the whole state. And that's really another reason that drew me here is there's so much development, so much growth. Everything is new. The city's not landlocked. It's just exploding both for residential and business, which is good for the shared revenue, good for the tax base, good for the community. Now it's our goal here in the city to just make sure our services keep up with that growth. Internally here at the PD, we're slotted for 63 officers. We're down a few. We're always hiring. So anybody that wants to come join us, be part of this great team, we're always welcoming people, especially lateral hires that can jump right into field training immediately. But if you don't have any training, absolutely, we'll train you. We'll send you to school, and we'll do all that for you. But we have 63 officers if we are fully slated, and then give or take 20-ish professional staff, whether that's a dispatch, our records bureau, community service officers. Those people are just as important, if not some days more important, because they make this place, keep going.
Outstanding. Chief, you've developed a reputation for being transparent and media friendly. Why is that so important to you as a chief?
I just think that you can't be afraid to talk about topics, whether they're good or bad. But, I believe that the community expects me to, be their voice when it comes to public safety related concerns. And I just think that that's how that's how I want to run this department. I want people to see that we're legitimate. I want people to see that we're humble. I want people to see that, take this uniform off and I'm just a father. Hopefully I'm a good father. Hopefully I'm a great husband, hopefully a great friend, but I have a job to do. And I believe that that job is really being transparent with the community on all issues. We had an issue where people really had a lot of concerns about some cell phone video being circulated online. There's some people that just would not want to talk about that, but then people get to create their own narrative. And I'm all about being proactive and trying to be part of that conversation. I'm not here to change people's opinions or perspectives. I'm more than willing to meet people where they're at. But I think it's important that we at least have a say, that we can at least give our side of the story so that people can make their informed decisions.
I like that response. I think that it's really important to try and just get your message out, whatever it is, whether it's good or bad, because the public's going to make their, if you don't have a message out, the public's going to make one up for you. And that may not necessarily be the right one.
Yeah, no, I mean, I even tell younger officers, invest in your reputation, invest in what you want people to view you at, because if you don't, people do that for you, and you're not gonna like that. So, but you got to be genuine. I mean, that's the thing here. I mean, you can't be just chasing the camera because officers will look at that and community will look at that. You just got to be humble. And again, just talk as if what your mom would want to know at a 5 o'clock news station. So, but I think it's important because all the things that we do, I mean, we have great professional staff and officers that are working hard every day. Why would I not want to market them? Why would I not want to show the community the great work that they're doing? But we're all human too, and in my career, officers have made mistakes and you just got to be like, this is what happened. This is what you're doing. This is how we're going to correct it. And this is how we're going to prevent it. I think the community needs to hear that because if you don't, and sadly, and I think this is just human nature, if people don't hear from you, they assume you're doing nothing, which could be the opposite the case. So we're just trying to control that narrative a little bit, and control is a bad word. Influence would be more appropriate.
Right. There's a former chief out of Indiana that I interviewed a couple years ago, and one of the things he said is we need to be authentic with our public. And I like
Hmm.
that word as being authentic, and it's similar to what you said, and being I like that, being humble, and you know putting out your messages via video or talking about a staff or hosting a meet and greet with new staff for your community is a great way to engage them without patting yourself on the back. And I think very frequently when we have like big press conferences, the first thing they want to do is people want to say, "Oh, what a great job we did." But it's a tragedy when a lot of times it's a tragedy when you have a press conference. You don't necessarily want to do a victory lap at that point.
Well, that's not what the community or not. That's not what the victims or the suspects or anybody wants to hear. I think you got to balance. That's the balance of leadership, right? I mean, that's the balance of the community, your internal stakeholders, your electeds, everything of how you present that information, because everybody's got their own wheelhouse per se, and they all got their constituents, and you're just there to provide the facts. That's my job. Provide the facts, good, bad, or indifferent, and the plan that we're going to do to keep them safe. I think doing that in a humble and respectful, in a way that the community believes in you. We talk about trust, and everybody, everything's about community trust, right? I'll take it one step further and say it's got to be legitimacy too, because they won't trust you if they don't think you're legitimate. So it's just, it sounds very textbookish, but I mean, it just really is so true.
It absolutely trust is a if you don't have trust, if your community does not trust you, you will never succeed. And that once you break that trust, it's very difficult to build it back up.
Yeah, no, I mean, we internally here in the command staff leadership team and in the officers, we're just depositing that trust every day, depositing that trust, every police contact, every community event, every interaction, because, unfortunately, if statistics, in history, something happens, you're going to have to do a mass withdrawal of that trust. And you better have community partners standing with you.
Chief, and talking about that, how do law enforcement leaders feel the pressure to hold back information during an incident? How do you strike the balance between being as transparent as you can and that operational security of the incident?
Yeah, I mean, the law doesn't help us in that matter. The law is very defined in what information can and can't be released. And people want body worn cameras like the day of the incident. Well, there's open records laws, there's records redaction, there's laws pertaining to when it can be released if it's an open criminal investigation. Then you have the DA, the district attorney, like, you don't want to release the video because that could affect the criminal case. And then the community's just at your doorstep saying, "We want it. Like, we know you got it. We want it." So as a chief, you got to find that balance, and I'm all about following the rules. I mean, I got in this job because I like the structure, but there's sometimes where the community needs to see that, and you've got to find some gray area to release that video or to find a way for the community to believe you, because there are people that just don't like the police, and they're not bad people. I mean, that's just their perspective. And they don't believe, or they're cynics, or there's conspiracies, or they just have their own mindset and own purview of what they believe happened and what they believe should occur. And then we as a police department have to provide that impartial evidence because they may not believe what we're saying, but that impartial evidence, whether that's witness statements, electronic evidence, video surveillance, or our own body cams, which is, in my opinion, I'll never live without body cams of the rest of my career. But it really provides that you have to provide that balance where you have to show them what you're saying is indeed true. And I enjoy that because again, I'm not here to hide nothing. There are no surprises. There is nothing here that I don't expect the community not to ask me questions on. That's how I operate. I mean, everything I do has got a public equity lens applied to it because I'm
That's
prepared for that person who just doesn't like whatever I'm doing. And we're going to have that conversation and, at least meet each other where we're at, not necessarily hope to agree, but give them the facts.
I like that, Chief. And talking about the video release now, a lot of agencies and some of the larger agencies. When I worked in Colorado Springs, we just authored a policy where we had to produce video of an incident within 21 days, and it was the body camera policy and everything. Do you guys have any kind of policy like that in place for releasing, or is it
No,
just based on case by case?
no, it is case by case. Generally speaking, we don't release body cam footage if it's an open criminal investigation. That's just done to protect the integrity of the criminal case, both for the all the people involved, victim, suspect, witnesses, everybody, because everybody's innocent until proven guilty, and you don't want to influence the community to make their own perspectives before that person goes to a criminal trial if he or she chooses, and then that release influence what occurs in the courtroom. I totally respect that, but I do know that there are times and you've got to release the video. The community expects answers, and the wheels of justice are slow. Uh, and that that is not anyone's fault. But as a chief, you got to find those times where it's appropriate to release video or it's appropriate to give out information because the community, you're working for the community. You're not working against. And I've always that's always hit home with me of what information I can tell them so that they have trust, that they have, a sense of legitimacy that the police department's doing the right thing.
Right. Chief, can you share a time when proactive communication prevented a misunderstanding or helped calm a tense situation in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this pertains to controversial incidents in the community, whether it's a use of force incident or an incident involving a freak one is there's a lot of concerns in the immigrant and refugee community, reference what's going on in the world. And rumors circulate, and then it's kind of who stole the cookie in the cookie jar, and things get blown way out of proportion. As chief, I just think that it's important that my whole team, and this is never just about me, my whole team is got their ear to the ground and they know what's going on. And we have to weigh when what is rumor, what is public perception versus what is public fear and anxiety. And we manage that just as much as we manage crime because a person, on such and such street, if they think crime is out of control, even though crime isn't, we got some work to do. And we really do that. And the proactive messaging helps. Now, not everybody has Facebook. Not everybody reads our press releases. So there's only so much we can do, but at least we can try. At least we have some response when the community asks what we did.
Yep. Chief, do you have a dedicated PIO for the police department?
Not in Sun Prairie. In Green Bay, we did, not for many years, and then they hired one, but it's all of us. I mean, we're all a PIO. I mean, I tell that to even the officers. I mean, they're giving out information every call. They're our recruiter, they're our marketer, they're our, police officers. I mean, go down the line, but not here.
Have you done like training for your staff, or is this something you'll plan to do? Training for your staff about being cognizant of the information could be released to the public if they
Well,
do
I mean,
start acting in that capacity?
yeah, I mean, it's that training sometimes you learn trial and error by the cases that come in, the requests that come in. So it's a constant test, that balancing test that the law and the FOIA law really, excuse me, the FOIA law, requires us to do that balancing test. That is always on the list of topics. We do have a young department supervisors included. So anytime we can take time to develop our personnel, I've always subscribed to the theory that, you train people good enough that they could leave, but excuse me, train them good enough that they can leave, but treat them good enough that they don't want to. So it's important for us to develop our people and provide that training. But a lot of it, I mean, there's so many things that come across our desks every single day that every opportunity, every piece of paper, you're learning something.
Right. Chief, how are you using social media to connect and to speak to your residents?
Yeah, social media is just been a game changer in law enforcement, both good and bad. But we try to put the message out of what the community wants to know what we're doing, whether that's our, like, for example, traffic is the number one complaint in Sun Prairie. It comes through the electeds to the police department. You hear about it, speeding. It really causes a lot of harm in the community. And I've been very intentional with working with our staff to put out information on social media of what we're seeing, our actions, citations, traffic stops, warnings, locations, because people want to see that. People want to know that we're doing we're backing up what we are saying we are doing. We're very open on press releases regarding violent crime. That really has adverse impacts because it's not just the people involved in that incident. There could be second, third, fourth, fifth, layer of victims in that, and people want to know. I mean, I think knowledge is power. Knowledge, people in the community want to see. They get their tax bill every December, and they're like, "Why are we paying such high taxes?" Well, we're all stewards of taxpayer dollars, and I think it's important that we market ourselves and tell the people what's going on in the community through social media.
And then what platforms are you using enough? I'm assuming Facebook because I did see your Facebook account for the department. Do you have any others?
We have Facebook and Nixle. Those are our two primary platforms. And
Okay.
then, through the city, OpenGov, the city has those same social media platforms as well.
Okay. Have you had to address misinformation or rumors online with something that you guys have handled?
Not so much. I mean, yes, I mean, there's been times where we've had to address rumors, but we don't try to get into the rumor game per se. We try to report the facts and then we let people make their own decisions. I think that's, the foundation of democracy, really. But it's important that we listen to that because we have to know what's going on in the community, what's being circulated. And then we have that balancing test of whether we put something out or we don't put something out. It's in the past and many times in the past where we've had to correct the narrative so that it doesn't blow up into something bigger than what it actually is. But again, the community, people have their right to voice their opinions. I'm all for that. I just want to give them the facts so that they can at least be educated.
Chief, how long have you been with the department now as chief?
I got hired May 12th, and it's been awesome. Yeah, and not a lot of time in Sun Prairie. No, I'm almost 24 years into this career. I've been here a minute. I've been in the career a minute or two.
So, what type of community engagement efforts are underway or that you're planning for this remainder of the year?
Well, the city of Sun Prairie, like coming to a smaller agency, the community is a lot more engaged, a lot more passionate about community events. Like we just had Corn Fest. I never seen something like this. This was a sight to see. I mean, if people are watching this podcast, Google Corn Fest. Well, first of all, it was the best sweet corn I've ever had in my life. But more importantly, uh, the community came together. Parades in big cities don't usually happen because of it, just for whatever reason. But this parade for Cornfest, it went on for an hour and a half. And you talk about community pride and you talk about people coming together. I mean, it was a preseason Packer game. That many people. I mean, coming to Cornfest parade. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Everybody was happy. Everybody loves to see a tow truck, like the tow truck coming through. And I'm just like, yeah, I've died and gone to heaven. But then you go to Cornfest and you see the camaraderie, you see the community rallying around corn. Amazing. But community engagement, we do that as much as we possibly can. Obviously, there's a staffing capacity issue, but we're playing basketball this Saturday with the kids. City staff and I are joining as a team to play against kids. Juneteenth, another amazing event in the city, celebrating that milestone in U.S. history. Pride Fest, again, great people doing awesome things, helping one another. It's just so important to see this community come together no matter what its event. And they got all these booths from different organizations, which I just found so fascinating because everyone's there to, extend that olive branch. And when I did my research for this job, I saw that and I'm like, you know what? I want to be part of that. I want my family to be part of that.
Chief, amongst your staff, how are you working to build a culture of openness and accountability within the department?
Well, I think it really starts with, as a leader, you got to be humble. You got to meet people where they're at. I've always taken that. These stars don't mean much to me because I'm no different than the person who's building maintenance. I just got a different job to do. I get paid to make different decisions. And I've really tried to install that in everybody, whether that's an officer, my whole career. It just rank doesn't define me. I think we're all leaders regardless of rank, but it's important for the department to see that. Uh, Equally important, I'm here to work for them. I am here to work for the officers, the professional staff to make their lives easier. So I'm committed to them just as much as they are committed to me. And that's really bolded well for me over the course of my career because I'm doing things for them to move the department forward. At the end of the day, I just want to make this place better for the next person because we all time out, we all got a term in life. So I just
Mhm.
want to make the place better. And people see that. And it's not about image. It's not about whatever. It's just like, all right, well, what problem do we have today, and how can we fix it, and how can we help that person in the building? That's really kind of bolded well for me internally to build that trust. Now, granted, I'm 4 months in. I would say the honeymoon period's off, but maybe the honeymoon will last the first year, and then we'll get into some real problems. It's just trying to make the place better, and I want people to see that there's no egos. I don't got time for that. I just tell me about your family because I want to know. Tell me what's giving you some life because if you're not healthy outside of work, there ain't no way you're going to be productive here. And I've really embraced that mentality.
That's good to hear, Chief, because a lot of times it's you got to do the job, got to do the job, got to do the job, and some leaders forget the staff have to have time off, and they have to have hobbies, and they have to be with their family. I get we have to staff, but it's important to decompress.
No, it is, and there's a time and place too, Robert. I mean, sometimes you got to be that person. Like, all right, done, done, done. Let's go. But then there's time to decompress. And I've worked with some great people in my life, both personally and professionally, that have mentored me, that continue to mentor me. That I don't take credit for nothing. I don't have the savior complex. I'm just here to push this department forward. I shouldn't say push, lead to just make it better for people. That's kind of who I am.
Chief, I like your leadership style, and I like the honesty that comes forward from you when you speak, because I can tell you care about what you're doing, but I also can tell that you care about your people, and you care about the job that they do and how they care for the public. So thank you for doing that. Can you talk about like communication goals? What is your plan for the remainder of the year into next year, your first year in with the public?
As far as goals, I've taken the approach that the first 6 months I'm taking to learn the organization. I'm not making any changes. I'm making decisions where I need to. I'm trying to get the command staff to just kind of teach me anything and everything. I think as a new chief, an outsider coming in, officers, professional staff, they might be a little hesitant, maybe scared. What is this new chief going to do? How is he going to compare it to the last chief? So I've really taken the approach that, 6 months will get me to November-ish. And I'm not saying we're going to drop any big changes in November, but you learn the department's true colors after 6 months. And that's a perf study. That's just not me coming up with that theory. And I'm a big fan of perf and what they do. So learning from others and learning from other chiefs, that's kind of the mentality that I've taken. But in my first 6 months here, I'm just learning the workflows. The workflows. Chiefs, I've learned, chiefs may want to go out and ride in a car, squad car, and go do police work. Yeah, that's fun. I would love to do that. But if I something's going to give in that scenario. And really, I want to focus on the workflows, how we can make them more efficient. How can we use technology to make our jobs a lot easier? How can we take care of our people with wellness initiatives to make sure that they're healthy both inside and outside of work? Accountability, too. I tell people, just my humility and my kindness is not an excuse or a crutch for holding people accountable. I think we have to have strong accountability practices that people believe in, that people have believe are fair and consistent. So easy to say, so difficult to do. And we're working on that here because I would rather talk about the accountability process and the overall way we approach that now when there's not an incident so that we don't have to, people don't think it up. We're making it up as we go. And I think that really real bold to some internal trust of the administration going forward because I got a lot of gas left in the tank. This is not a stepping stone job for me. My wife is not moving anymore. So I got to make this work. I got to make this work, and I want a lot of years left here in the city of Sun Prairie. So small things I can do now will have big benefits in the future.
Chief, I think you're going to be there a long time. I don't think you're going anywhere at all. I think
Yeah, well, I hope so. I
yeah,
hope so.
you definitely have all the right pieces in place just from what I'm hearing, and I'm loving hearing it. What advice would you give other law enforcement leaders who are hesitant to engage more with the media?
Yeah, I guess the best advice I can give, and again, I am no expert, is if you don't talk to the media, then the media is going to talk for you. And there's a time and place for everything, and and leaders have to weigh what's good for them. I can't do what I do without the support of the electeds and the city administrator. The political environment does play into that a little bit. And when I say political, I just mean the government, the local government does play into that, and they've given me the freedom to do that, and that's what they pay me to do. That's what the chief of police position is required, and I believe. But as new chiefs, I just be comfortable in the uncomfortableness. I've really taken that approach both internally and externally because this job's not easy. If this job was easy, everybody would do it.
Mhm.
But my passion here is for the people of Sun Prairie, and we're going to do what's right, even if it's not the easiest or the most fun thing to do.
Right. Chief, is there a question I should have asked? And if so, how would you have answered it?
No, I mean, there's not really a question. I mean, it's people people think the police department, doesn't want to talk about bad things, doesn't want to talk. If we had a situation, an ugly personnel investigation or controversial use of force, you know, again, as much as I would prefer not to do that, we're going to talk about that, and we're going to figure out what right looks like, and I'm sorry, there's someone at my door here, and figure out, what the community expects of us. And then it's my job to develop that plan to make sure that our trust isn't affected.
Outstanding. Chief, let's go into some rapid fire questions and I'll get you out of here. I know I've taken up enough of your time.
Yeah.
All right, here
I'm
we go.
sorry. Could you say that again, Robert? I didn't hear what you said.
All right, let's get some rapid fire questions going. We'll get you out of here right after that. I know I've taken up a lot of your time.
All right. Sounds good. I'm
All right,
in
here
it.
we go. Texting or talking?
Talking.
Movies or books?
Movies.
Coffee, tea, or energy drink?
Ah, man, neither. None of them.
Adult drink of choice?
Diet Mountain Dew. That's the drink of choice right there.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Favorite go-to karaoke song?
Oh, man. I don't have one.
What would be your superpower if you could have one?
Flying.
If you could become an instant expert in one thing, what would it be?
Reading my wife's mind.
We all wish we could do that. Ask permission or beg for forgiveness.
Beg for forgiveness.
What place do you most want to travel to?
The Caribbean.
What's your favorite way to relax after a long day?
Watching my son play hockey or my daughter swim.
If you could choose to have coffee with any historical figure, living or dead, who would it be?
Abraham Lincoln.
Interesting person he was, yes. Chief, what key points would you like our listeners and followers to take from this interview today?
I think police officers are special people. They see the worst of the worst, and they are the pillars of the community. I just want people to see them that they're just husbands, wives, friends, coworkers, whatever it is. They just got a different job to do with different decisions to do. Really believe in that concept, and just they can do so much great, and they can do some harm too. We hope that we've trained them and treated them and done everything we possibly can to prevent bad things from happening. It's important that the community see police officers just as regular people. We're not on a pedestal. We're not anything special. We just got a job to do, and I believe that wholeheartedly.
Excellent. Chief, as we wrap this up, do you have a piece of wisdom or a motto that you live by?
Someone's always got it worse. The golden rule.
I like
I
that.
tell that to my kids. Small problems, someone's got it worse. And I look at here, and I look at another police department, and I'm like, all right, well, I'd rather have my problems than those problems. Someone's always got it worse.
Absolutely.
And that optimist creed really is something I really believe in.
Outstanding. Chief, how could people best reach out to you if they want to connect, they want to look for a job, they're looking to become a police officer up in Wisconsin area? How do they get a hold of you? How do they get a hold of your department?
Yeah, everything's online. our city website, my email's online. Come out, visit the PD. I'll give 5 minutes to anybody, probably more. But again, we are here to bring the best of the best, and we want to establish that family culture that all police departments are striving for, to make sure that people come here and enjoy this great city.
Chief, thank you very much for being on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, anytime. I'd love to talk. So I appreciate it, and have a good day.
Thank you. Chief,
Take care.